Hi, uh, I'm Danny, and I've struggled with video game addiction for about 12 years now. And I quit like 2 days ago. And today I decided to start my journey of recovery. And I couldn't find, I tried looking for recovery programs for video game addiction for adults, and they exist for like teenagers or like kids, but I couldn't find any recovery programs for adults. And I was even looking for inpatient recovery for video games, and that sounds ridiculous, but um, kind of my story. Uh, I started playing video games when I was a child, right? Very young. And never is a problem when you're, a child because you don't have any responsibilities or even really like friendships yet. But as I got older and got into more long form video games, instead of just like arcade games or I don't know, the Nintendo 64 games and PlayStation, all that. Like those games, like cool. They were fun as a kid, but you don't really get crazy absorbed in it. It's, especially not like my generation, um, because we were forced to go outside by our parents and stuff, or like at least I was forced to go outside by my parents when I was really young. They'd be like, "Go to the park. It's beautiful outside. We're not doing video games. Just go to the park, dude, please." And I get that, right? Like, yes, that was a good thing for me, even though I hated every minute of it growing up, right? But now, when I got, and then in high school, you have a little bit more freedom, and even before then, middle school was like, like the best experience for me. A lot of people look back, like my parents' generation, they look back and they're like, high school was like it. That was the best period of my life. And it's like, well, for me, it wasn't. High school sucked, but middle school for me was awesome. Um, I used to skateboard and go outside and have a lot of fun. And then at some point, I quit doing that. I started playing Minecraft over a summer, and yeah, Minecraft. But I started playing that and got completely absorbed by it. And I before then I was like super addicted to like energy drinks. Oh yeah, not to can't have the because I'm not I don't know if I'm allowed to show the actual label, but like I'm drinking one right now. Yeah, I've been addicted to energy drinks first, and then that kind of coincided with my video game addiction, the start of it. And that was during a summer. I started playing Minecraft, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was just mindless and easy, and I could build and create, and that was like old Minecraft, like not the beast that it is today. Like this was before they even had like a campaign for Minecraft, where you could win. It was just like, here's a cool crafting game, and and then I built my first like huge castle in Minecraft, and like then I went and did XYZ in the game, and and then after a summer and then that was already a problem because I would stay up for sometimes 2 or 3 days playing Minecraft, and messaging random people on Facebook. Yeah, I know Facebook, but that was like the life, and I was like, this is awesome. But I barely went outside that summer, and I would flake on my friends sometimes because I just would I'd be like, hey man, I'm too tired to hang out. Sorry, and and then I'd continue to play. Um, and then after that summer, I started playing League of Legends, which is super popular, and I loved that game. And it was just the competitiveness of it, and they had a bunch of cool game modes back then. Other than just like ARAM, it was like a bunch of cool game modes, like Doom bots and like PV player versus environment and all that. Like just awesome. Uh, fun. Just I was had a blast playing it, and I had such a blast playing it that would I couldn't stop. I and while this was all going on in my personal life, or while all that was going on in like online world or whatever, I was going to school. I was in high school at the time, like early. It was like late middle school, early high school when that started, and 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 it got worse. So with the Minecraft, it was like a couple days awake. I'd listen to like hard style on my headphones, and I was just like, I'm cool as shit. And then, and then, but with League of Legends, I didn't even listen to music. I would just play the game and try to get better at it. And I was like, I'm gonna be famous someday. Like the standard, I don't know, mindset for me was like, yeah, I'm gonna get really good at this and then win tournaments because I'll be so good, and then, whatever. But then going into high school, like started to have problems at home, and this wasn't due to my video game addiction. It was just like family issues, like my loved ones struggling with addiction, like with like the ones that your body gets addicted to, like drug addiction, and trauma with like all the family shit going on. Wow, I probably shouldn't curse as much, but just trauma with like my family stuff going on, and like eventually it kind of just got became an escape. So before a video, like I discovered for real video games where like I just couldn't stop playing. My escape was books, so I would read all the time, just constantly reading, and then video games just kind of took the place of reading, um, and that's just I no one saw it as like a warning sign. I didn't. I for sure didn't. That when I would flake on my friends just so I could stay at home and play League of Legends, or like when I would get 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night for weeks, just to play video games and just be miserable while I was out doing any interactions with people, and any time I would be away from home, I was just miserable, and it's because of the lack of sleep. And then over time, I started to have real hiccups in my life. So that was like I would have where when I would have jobs, it became a problem. So like after school, right? Like I failed out of school already. That was done. And then failed out of school, and then wanted to go to college, but I didn't have money to go to college. So, and I couldn't get government grants for reasons. And so I got a job, and I started working. And working while having a video game addiction, not a really good combo wombo there. So I would stay up and get barely any sleep, like I was doing with school, and then lose my job because I'd miss days, because I'd like stay up and then be like, okay, I'll just take a quick nap for 2 or 3 hours, and then I'd been doing it for so long I couldn't keep up with that, and I would oversleep, and then I'd wake up and it'd be like, oh no, I should have been at work like 3 hours ago. Not like waking up 5 minutes late, like, oh no, it was like hours into my shift, and then my boss had called and texted and like WTF, like, like you're a no call no show. You don't even bother showing up anymore, and it, so I would lose jobs, and then and then I got kicked out of my house at some point because I couldn't hold down a job, and so my mom was just like, "Yo, you gotta launch some way or another. You can't. You're 18 now, dude. Just get out. Like you gotta go. You gotta get out of the house, like for good. Like you have to leave. I don't care how you figure it out, but you gotta figure it out." And so I, lived in my car for about 6 months. And then after 6 months of living in my car, one of my friends kind of lived in my car with me for about half of that time. We would go to parties, and it was like a summer that was just awesome. Because summer, no video games at all. Like I didn't have access to them. Not like, of course, I could have got app video games, but that wasn't really like a super big thing at the time. There was just like Temple Run and like I don't think that was Flappy Bird era yet, but it was like Temple Run, and like that was the one. That was like the big one. Temple Run and maybe like Rocket Joyride or something. But like I couldn't play those for like hours and just disregard my whole life. It's not one of the, like, for me that wasn't one of those games. Funny thing, I actually unofficially held the world record for Temple Run for like a couple of years. It's wild. I had got 50 mil, and the record, I think it was like shattered in like 2018 or something. But whatever. I'm not like, I never posted it anywhere except to like show my friends, like, dude, I got 50 mil. Holy crap. So I guess it did kind of take over for a bit, but and then. Sorry, sidelined. Back to the story. Well, after living in my car for a while, my buddy that would like take me to parties and stuff and hang out, it turns out he had gotten a girlfriend. And so he called me one day and was like, "Hey, man, you still living in your car?" And I was like, "No, what are you talking about? No, I'm not." He's like, "No, like, really, are you still living in your car?" And I was like, yeah, I am. And he said, come stay with me. I got a girlfriend. I'm living with her and her parents. Just, we got an extra room. Come stay with us. I would really like that. That'd be cool. And so I was like, sure, no problem. Let's do that. And that was that was probably my rock bottom in life. Like, of all time. Not mentally. Mentally, I was like on it. I was great. Just weird, right? Living in your car, that should be the most terrible experience anyone's ever had. But like, it was a lot of fun with the parties, and like seeing and interacting with so many people, and just having to figure out stuff, just random. Like every day was a mission for me. And then, so I started living with him and his girlfriend at his girlfriend's house, and that was a great time. Those 2 years, so greatest summer of my life, followed by like the greatest 2 years of, or not even two. It was like a year and a half, and really it was only like 6 months of awesome. So I started living there, and then started building my life back up. And at some point I had gotten a computer. I got a laptop at just like terrible hardware on it, like an old laptop. And I got a mouse, and I was working a job at that point, and I was able to like hold my job down and stuff. And then that was when I was like 18, 19-ish while I was living there. And it was like halfway, it was like 6 months into 18 into 19, right? Because I lived in my car for 6 months. Like day I turned 18, got kicked out, lived in car. and then my friend's house, or my friend's girlfriend's house rather. I mean, me and her are super good friends now, still, um, but I lived there in their spare bedroom. Her dad said, just pay me like 50 a month. It's no big deal, which is crazy, that he allowed me to do that. And I built up my finances enough to get a computer again, and I got, like I said, I got a laptop, and woo, what a cool thing. Um, but it ended up being, I'm doing a video, so thank you. Just in my room. Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, my sister came out with food. Thank you. But yeah, so where was I? Yeah, and then I got the laptop and started playing. You guessed it, League of Legends again. I started playing League of Legends, and that's when things started to really turn bad again. Because at first it was like, oh, I played like 2 or 3 games and it was great. It was like, oh, awesome, this was a blast. And then it got worse and worse to where it was like I would play for every waking moment I wasn't at work. And my friends would like knock on my door and like come in and be like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And I'd be like playing League, and I'd be like, "Dude, I'm playing ranked right now. Go the fuck away." And you know, and then they just quit doing it at some point. They quit asking me at some point to hang out, and they like it was people living with me, and so I sat in my room and did that for another like year or so, and then my computer broke. Like my computer got annihilated at some point to where it was unusable. Well, mostly it was unusable for video games. It was, I think it had a virus on it or something, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it after running antivirus, and like it might have had malware on it, and like I just didn't know to run a malware check. I knew how to run a virus check, but that didn't do anything. So anyway, um, and then a Navy recruiter hit me up and saw me at my job. I was working at Goodwill at the time, and as a cashier, and a Navy recruiter hit me up, like showed up to my work and was like, "Hey, what are you doing with your life? You want to maybe, I don't know, do something with your life?" And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't really thought about that." And me and my recruiter talked for a bit, and then had me set like goals and stuff. It was kind of like a therapeutic experience almost, because like that recruiter, she was awesome. She sat me down and was like, "Okay, where do you want to be in like 5 years?" I was like, I don't know or really care right now. And this was okay. Sorry, back up a little bit. With my recruiter, that started after I had just gotten out of like a terrible relationship. So this is where another funny thing. I started dating someone before I worked at Goodwill. Started dating this awesome girl before working at Goodwill, and then I had a car at the time, and we were the car that I lived in, and we were doing really good. And then my car broke down, and I couldn't fix it. Like my car was totaled, and I had to get rid of it. And when I didn't have a car, our relationship struggled. We were young and in love and needed the physical aspect of that, and it just big reason why it deteriorated, why that relationship deteriorated into just like garbage, was because of when I lost my job because I didn't have a car, and when I couldn't see my girlfriend like in person, I just delved really heavy into the video games again. It was like I didn't have a. It was an escape. because I was in a terrible situation, not with her, with like my life at the time, and I couldn't figure it out. Um, I, I, I ended up getting a new job because I got one day I just was like, yeah, I need money really, really bad. I'm not going to be able to pay um, the guy even $50 this month. I can't afford food to exist. And so it literally got to that point of me playing video games to like, okay, yeah, I need a job. And then I got my job, and anytime I wasn't working, I was either bowling with friends. That was like my get out of the house activity. I was bowling, or I was playing video games. And the playing video games took over time. I started doing that more, bowling with friends less, hanging out with friends less, and with those two things, I was ignoring my girlfriend at the time, which is terrible. Don't do that. Um, and we started having a falling out. Stuff went really bad. Nothing like, we didn't get like violent, or like we just were kind of toxic. Like when we'd call, it'd just be like we'd we'd argue, and most of what we would argue about would be my video game addiction. And I didn't know to call it that at the time. It was just like, well, I'm playing this game, or like or like when we would be on the phone, I would boot up League of Legends and then start playing and not give my full undivided attention to my girlfriend at the time, and that is terrible. I know that's terrible. I knew it was terrible at the time, but I couldn't stop myself from doing that. Like I could have, but it was just the most, like, that was what was on my mind all the time. It was like, okay, I want to play this game, and it was an escape. And I knew that me and my girlfriend were in a bad spot, and so I just used that as a to escape from it, to mentally check out. And then we we broke up eventually, and then the recruiter found me, and I decided, I really struggle. Okay, my thought process of why I joined the Navy, right? I did that, and I did a whole contract. But my thought process in joining was that if I do the military, and I, am forced to to be disciplined and to show up every day, and to keep myself well kept and all that, I'll get better self control, and then I'll have more control over this video game addiction. And I didn't know to call it an addiction at the time. It was just like, well, I really like playing video games, but it's also I've sacrificed a lot of stuff for video games, and I want to get that under control. And I thought the Navy would help me do that. And for a while, it did. Like you go to boot camp and do the whole all of it. Just the military life, and then. But as soon as I got out of boot camp, when I had money again, right? Common theme. Guess what I did? I built a desktop. I still have the desktop. I still have the desktop I built in my house, like in my room. And I built a desktop and started playing League of Legends again. Whoa, what? And I started playing it a lot. And between League of Legends, I was playing League of Legends. I had turned 21 while I was in school, and when I turned 21, I started drinking and playing video games. What a crazy combo. Don't recommend that, because it was two addictions at that point, that I could delve into. And so anytime I'd hang out with friends, all we would do would be drink, and then I'd play video games. I'd play League of Legends. And my mental health started to suffer at that time, because drinking is a depressant. Video games that you want to be good at, but are terrible at when you're inebriated, just made me just really angry and frustrated and upset about everything. And then the sleepless nights and the very little amount of sleep, the lack of sleep, it made me depressed. And so I was depressed and angry and frustrated, and still doing what I was doing, just all the time. And then school ended in the military, and at school, everyone, all of my instructors and like the teachers there, and even other people who had been out in the real Navy world, where you're on a ship, on a boat, doing the actual job. All of them just said, "Well, it's going to be different in the fleet. It's going to be different when you're actually out there doing it. This is easy mode, right?" And um, yeah, and then I went to my boat, and I was like, I'm gonna have no time for video games here, but I made time, and I made time for the video games, and I again started sacrificing sleep, struggling in work, all that, and it wasn't like so. I was able to do that because the ship I was on, the boat I was on, it it was in dry dock. So that means like it's not in the water actually. We're not leaving and going and doing cool stuff. We were just kind of repairing it. And while repairing it, yeah, I would try to qualify and stuff. And there was this stipulation where if you were behind in your studies, you were required to stay there, like to stay at work until I can't remember if it was 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. It was one of the two, but yeah, you had to stay. And so, but I was always tired, and so I was like finding ways to like sleep at work, and it was just terrible. Like I get in trouble for it and stuff. And then when I would go home, instead of sleeping, which is what I should have done, a lot of the time I found myself playing video games, or like on the weekends, right? I'd have to show up for the extra study because I was behind. I would have to show up for a couple hours on like Saturday or Sunday, and then, but the hours I wasn't doing that, I was at home playing video games. And what the craziest part is, this was in Hawaii. Like I should have been going out to beaches and just exploring and just having a blast, but I didn't do that. I was at home playing video games, because at that point the military stress started to take hold, and it was like, this sucks. Like I need to escape reality at home instead of going and finding a way to live my life, and manage some semblance of a home life, in contrast to work. Or not in contrast, but like the work-life balance. Instead of having a work-life balance, I just had a work balance. And at that point, League of Legends wasn't play anymore. It wasn't like as fun anymore. It was more of a grind and a like a just something to work on and something I wanted to excel at. So yeah, after a while of doing that, we started to we left dry dock and started to go out to sea. And I thought going out to sea would be better, like it would be less. I don't know. I just thought it would be better, and turns out it was actually. Like my time out at sea, which is going to sound crazy, but my time out at sea was almost a joy compared to my time at home. When I was out at sea, I would play chess, I would do my job, and I'd sleep. I slept for the whole time allotted for sleep usually, unless there was other stuff going on that prevented me from doing that. Like if I had to work extra hours or whatever, I'd do that. But then my first deployment hit, and my first deployment was for I think it was 6 or 7 months, and it was 6 or 7 months where it was just like awesome. There were bad parts to it too, and you try not to remember those parts, but there are negatives to it as well, but the positives outweighed the negatives for me. In that, like, my mental health actually did better while I was on deployment than when I was at home, because I was getting more sleep, and I was journaling, and I was able to have pride in my job and what I did, and actually work on a skill that I could see improvement on. And I could set goals for myself, my career, and achieve those goals while I was on deployment. And it was awesome. And then after my first deployment, we got back home and started playing again. And that's just been a common theme. I was quite like covering my whole life story, but like all of that is rough. Like I fate, and then at the end of my contract, I got back home out of the military, and I had my computer still. And when I got back for like 2 years, right, or for the first 6 months of being back, I traveled. I had a ton of money saved up, and I traveled and I blew all my money, or not all of it, but just most of it. And then when I had about a third of what I started with left, I I kind of I stayed at home and hung out and did what I thought was what I wanted to do for like a year and a half. So for 6 months, it was awesome. I was out going doing things, traveling, hanging out with old friends, and then I started playing. I started playing again, and for a year and a half, I didn't leave the house, like hardly at all. I left the house to get nicotine. I don't smoke. I use pouches, but to get pouches and energy drinks and food, and other than that, I stayed at home and played League of Legends for a year and a half. That's all. And not just League of Legends either. It was like when I would get bored of League of Legends, so I would play League of Legends every day. Whenever I would get angry at the game or upset at me not doing as good as I thought I would, thought I could, I would just play a different game. Instead of getting off the computer, I would play a different game. And that was like, you know, everyone has it, or most gamers have like a Steam library, and I had a ton of games on there, and I just choose one and play it. Or I'd get a new fixation on like this, that, or the other. So like, I played Risk of Rain 2, which loved that game. Um, Loved it. I played that game I racked up about 1,000 hours in it over the course of like 2 years. And so that's, I mean, that's not a ton of hours, but that was like 1,000 hours on that game, in addition to the the many hours I would put on League of Legends, and then I would play. Yeah, I just would play all of it. When I got home, I just started playing all the games, not just League of Legends, um, and I started playing modded Minecraft with a buddy of mine. We played modded Minecraft for actually a couple of years. Like while I was doing I was balancing League of Legends and Minecraft while I was in the military. At the tail like 2 years of it, I would play both, and then sorry, gross hair. But yeah, and then me and him did a hardcore run on Minecraft. We actually beat the game. We beat Minecraft on hardcore, and then I beat the Ender Dragon, and then I died in the game. And after I died in the game, we he stopped playing as much for a while. We'd still like talk and stuff on Discord, but we quit playing games together. And I kind of delved into solo games and all that, and League of Legends super heavy. He didn't play League. And then after a couple of months, he ended up killing himself, um, and that sucks because he was my best friend for uh, for a couple of years at that point, because I didn't go out and hang out with people. I would be on my computer, and he'd hang out with me on my computer. He'd hang out with me through Discord, and so I lost him, and I think a big part of why he was depressed and you know he couldn't handle his personal life problems that he had going on, because a big part of that was because of the video game addiction, because he was doing the same thing as me. We were like in tandem, like we'd be on at the same times, and and we had jobs, and we do all of it together, which is something that like that addicts do. Addicts do that, um, and I realized I had a video game addiction at some period between getting, while I was in the military and then getting back, and it's just something that I struggled with, and I knew I struggled with it, and I knew it was an addiction at that point. But I didn't really want to admit it to myself that it was just like, oh, this is just my hobby, this is what I do. But it was all encompassing, is the thing. Like, and then after I got back, and for 6 months I was doing good, meeting friends, all that, and then I started playing again, and then every friendship I had after coming back just started to deteriorate, and I became really flaky, and like just wouldn't show up, or like I'd cancel plans and be like, sorry, I'm too tired today. And the reason I was too tired is because I was playing video games, and then instead of sleeping when I said I was too tired, I would play more video games. And yeah, and then more recent than that, right? Um, I and so all this kind of led me up to realizing I had an addiction, and I admitted to myself I had an addiction for like really the first time, like about a month ago, from now, and I was struggling with mental health for 6 months to a year now. Well, really longer than that, but like really got bad to where I was having, ideations, and like bad. And then I don't know. I I got started to get therapy. And when I started to get therapy, my therapist said, what's one of your biggest goals? And I said, I want to actively participate in my own life, and I want to have real hobbies, and I need friends. I need friends so that I don't end up like my buddy Austin. Sorry, name drops. So I don't end up like my buddy, who I used to play Minecraft with, like religiously. It was that and League for years. And it wasn't just regular Minecraft; it was modded Minecraft. That doesn't make it better, but it actually made it worse, because if it was regular Minecraft, we could have done all the things and then been done with it. But with modded Minecraft, it was like we had a server, and it was just a super big time suck, and that's kind of what that mod pack was built for. It was like a big time suck, and we would just try to complete missions in Minecraft, and it was fun for a while, but then it became like another job, and we worked it like another job, and anyway, recently, the therapy thing, and I also mentioned to my therapist that I have a video game addiction, and I really want to work on fixing that. But the thing about addictions is no one can force you to stop. No one can really, they can support you in quitting, like calling you out whenever they see you struggling, or like you telling your friends you're struggling, like, and then they can kind of walk you through healthy avenues and talk about it again. Or therapy can help you with like as support, but it's support. It's not them doing it for you. It's something that you have to do yourself. And I started taking scuba diving courses because it's free for me. I mean, which is crazy. Like one of my buddies at work, he said like, "Hey man, you want to do scuba diving courses? They're free for you because you're disabled and a veteran." And I was like, "Yeah, man, sure, let's do that." It was the super last minute, and then it's been several weeks now of me actually going, actually showing up and going, and doing the scuba diving courses, which is wild because I like consistency even with a job has been like rough. Like I call off days pretty often, and I actually tried canceling one of the courses one time. I tried like the last one, the very last one. I was like, hey, I don't know if I can make it. And the guy was like, well, this is the last one. If you don't make it to this one, you can't get certified. And I was like, well, I'll make it happen then. And I had stayed up the entire night before, and I was super tired and worn out because I had been working, because I did go to work. And then after work, it was like I rushed to get there, and I get there, and I had a blast. And it was still a blast, even though I was tired and, all that. And then this last week, 2 weeks ago, I uninstalled League of Legends. I made an excuse to do it, but I uninstalled it. And when I uninstalled League of Legends, that was the first big step for me that I took to actually like improve myself on it. And wow, this is like way longer than I thought it was going to be. Whole life story and it's about video game addiction, right? Crazy. But like, I think it's important for me to share my story because if I don't, it won't be out there for people to understand and really see like someone who has struggled with it and explain it all kind of in a semi understandable fashion. But wow, I get super distracted. Sorry. But yeah, and then I uninstalled League of Legends, and because I decided I'm going to quit playing this. This is a big portion of my life that, like, a big thing that takes up a good portion of my life. And, if I uninstall League of Legends, maybe I'll actually go out and do things again. And then after I uninstalled League, and I had uninstalled League like a couple of times throughout the whole story, but same thing that happened back then happened this time, and that after I uninstalled League, instead of going out and doing real life things, I still descended into other games. I just started playing different games, which is wild. Like, I just started playing playing all the different games, and I would go on Steam every day, and I would scroll through my list and be like, what do I want to play today? And then yeah, and then I just choose, and if I didn't feel like playing anything, I would just choose a random one and go. And then last week, so this past 1 week, so that was 2 weeks ago, I started doing that. This past 1 week, I slowed down on my video game playtime, and 2 nights ago, sorry, this is like a weird timeline. I'm talking like the weeks are from the time I stopped, right? So like 1 week before that, I was less time on video games, and then the week before that, I uninstalled League of Legends, like actually uninstalled it. And then but 2 days ago, I realized I sat down to play, and instead of that, when I was sitting there, like, ooh, sorry, I might cry. When I was sitting there at my computer watching, just looking for a game to play, I thought to myself, I don't want to play video games right now. I even went to go randomly select one. I had randomly selected a video game again, and as it was opening up, I opened up a tab on Google, on my browser, and I opened up a tab on that and typed in. I don't remember exactly what I typed in, but I typed in something similar to like recovery programs for video game addiction, or maybe like rehab for video game addiction, and I scrolled. I just started scrolling through that and trying to click on pages, and I found some that are real. Some video game addiction like recovery programs. All of them were for teens. There are none for adults, and I made a decision. I made a decision, and I hit up all my friends, and I went into Discord, and I said, I wrote out a long message to my friends, and they are my friends, and I wrote out a long message to my friends in like the main Discord I'm in, and I said, hey guys, like I know I've been distant from the group and playing a lot of solo games lately, or not even being on at all, because sometimes I wouldn't even log into Discord. I just play solo games, and said I'm done. I never want to play video games again. Like that's where I'm at right now. I've wasted so many years of my life doing it, and I'm done with it. Like I can't do that anymore. I'm ready to launch. I'm ready to launch and like get into my own life. I want to just like emerge into the world again and actively participate in living in life and do the life thing and go. I want to go out and get a life. I want to go touch grass and hang out with people and not delve into just video games when I'm depressed or sad. Like it's already been a struggle, and it's only been 2 days, which is wild, because I've gotten like probably 60 or 70 times in the last 2 days I've thought about video games, of like, I can just play, I can just get on and play something. It's always a different game. It's always like, oh, you can just get on for 20 minutes right now, no big deal. But I know, like, when I sat down to play 2 days ago, I knew in that moment, I knew if I open up a game and I play it, I'm gonna lose 6 more months of my life. And I kind of jokingly in my head kind of said, like, yeah, what's another 6 months? And that's rough. What's another 6 months? What's another 2 years? And I couldn't do it. So not just my Discord friends, but then I called my personal friend, my people I know in real life who play video games with me often, and I said to them, if you, like, I'm done playing video games. I can't do it anymore. I'm not capable of just, like, even one game. I can't do it. Because if I start playing games again, I'm gonna be doing just that for the next indefinite amount of time. Indefinite. Just, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be fucking another 10, and I can't afford to do that, because if I do that, I will actually, I'll actually probably give in at some point to the ideations, and to the bad, and not just like Not just playing, but I mean like actually like just the depression. I might give in to the depression and lose that battle because of video games. And I can't do that. I won't. I refuse. And so I hit up my friends and I said, "Listen, if you see me playing a video game, treat it like I just got out of I just got out of rehab for the second time, and I'm gonna die. Treat it like I'm gonna die. Like if I don't stop." And even people I don't play video games with often anymore, just my real friends. And I said, I just treat it like it's yeah, like call me out on it. Really, really call me out. Get angry, please. Because that's the kind of support I need. Really, is just my friends getting angry about it. And I told my family as well, and I'm ready. I'm ready to watch. So, and I dabbled with it in my head, like after, especially the first day where I decided, yep, I'm not, mm-mm. Um, especially the first day, I dabbled with thoughts of maybe at some point in my life I can play sometimes and manage it and balance it, but I've tried that and I can't do that. I will lose myself to it again. And so no more video games for Danny at all. Uh, and now, so I'm doing the YouTube thing now, and hopefully that'll be a better use of my time, and hopefully I can um, take you guys with me on my journey to recovery. And it's funny and kind of sad, honestly, that it's video games. It's not like I'm doing hardcore drugs. Um, but to me, this is that. And yeah, and then also like about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I noticed I haven't been able to feel my emotions as strongly at all. Like even smells aren't as strong. Tastes aren't as good. I I don't I didn't have the full range of emotions, or even when I'd quit playing for a while, even when I did have the full range of emotions again, or something similar to it, or just more emotions, I couldn't even identify what those were. Like I'd be feeling excited and happy, and I'd be like, well, "What is this?" and get overwhelmed. Like I didn't know how to identify my emotions, and so I'm gonna have to go on that journey too, and figure out how to how to identify and deal with like real emotions again, because I haven't had them in so long. Um, and because it's kind of all been like artificial, you know, like I know the response to a lot of like when people tell me terrible things, I know how I'm expected to respond. But like as far as feeling that, like it's lessened. It's not that I don't at all feel for them or like feel emotions, um, but it's lessened. It's like there was a shroud over my mental capacity to do any of that. So looking forward to that. That's gonna be a struggle. I've been crying a lot this last these last couple of days. I've been crying a lot, and that's weird because I don't normally cry, but it's healthy to cry. And Anyway, I'll stop droning on. This YouTube channel is going to be my recovery. I'll probably do a couple long form videos, maybe like once every 2 weeks at first, to as a check in to see how I'm doing, and to really give if anyone's gonna be my viewers watching, to give you guys a look into my life and how it's going, and all of it. So like, I want to put on here me cleaning my room, right? Which sounds ridiculous, right? But that's a big part of what I've let go. It's not hoarder bad, but it's pretty bad, and just I think there's a term for it online now called like rot maxing or something. That's wasn't my intention of what I was doing, but that's kind of what I was doing. That's what I would do when playing video. I'd come home, play video games, go to work, come home, play video games, go to work, sometimes sleep, shower every day, or shower every other day sometimes. One thing I did keep up with was brushing my teeth, so I have pretty good teeth, other than the pouches. But someday I want to quit those too. But yeah, we're in it. We're in it. And I'll do videos of me cleaning my room and the whole process, from like cleaning my room to like going out and doing real life fun stuff like hiking, and I want to learn an instrument. Right now I think that's bass guitar, but I don't know. I have ADHD really bad, so I might get hyper fixated on one and then really like it, and then be like, one day just be like, this sucks, and just quit doing it. So, and that's another thing with video games is like, I would be like, oh, this game sucks, I don't want to play it anymore, and then I could just play a different game. If I got hyper fixated on one game and then got bored of it, I could just play a different game instead of doing an actual different activity. Because it is, a different game, different activity, but it's really not. It's really not. It's still, my body is doing the same thing. That's just my mental doing something different. But yeah, thanks for being along for the ride. Yeah, I hope you guys can support me in this, and this will also be another way for people for people my age, and maybe the younger generation, or even people older than me, who have struggled with the same thing and don't have a buddy in it. Don't have someone who's like, wow, like he really for real went through it and is getting better, and you know we're we'll do the thing. We will launch together, dude. Let's do that. Let's all together just become people again. And I also worry that I'm gonna replace my video game addiction with something else, like social media, like just doom scrolling, or or just getting on like Facebook, or like Instagram, or like, well, no TikTok anymore, but just those. I know there'll be some new version of it soon or at some point, but just I don't want to do that either. I want to actually live my life, um, or even like real addictions, like alcohol, or like drugs. Like I don't want to replace video games with that, because I think it's a good thing that video games have stopped me from doing that, but I don't want to replace video games with with stuff that will still ruin my life in the same way. But yeah, thanks for listening. We're running up on an hour, and wish me luck. If you're religious, pray for me. I'm not, but anything helps, dude. Thoughts and prayers. Woo. uh, anyway, peace, man. See you never.